So how do you break that subconscious programming?
It's very deep.
So let's erase this and we'll talk about how to break subconscious programming. And we'll tap into a little bit of what is more on the science side of things. Natural law is something that everybody has to abide by, like the law of gravity. Whether you believe in it or not, it exists. And if you don't believe in it, it doesn't matter. Just jump off of a building and you'll realize that it's real. There's other natural laws, like the law of cause and effect. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, the second law of thermodynamics. So we understand that for everything we input, there's going to be an equal and opposite reaction to that input. So what people focus on is they focus on the output instead of the input. So you can't control when you're going to become a millionaire. That's the output. People are focused on the output. They're focused on the reaction. They can't control the reaction. All they can focus on is the action. So for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So what are the actions that you have to input in order to make $1 million? Do you know them? Well, no, I don't know them. Okay, well, how many millionaires do you know? And how many millionaires have you gone into and asked them, what is the input for them to make $1 million? Don't ask just Simon, just look, go get 50. And I promise you, there's plenty of people on the internet to send them a DM and be like, hey, what's the one habit that, and then you've put together your list and your formula.
They're very common habits. I've interviewed hundreds of millionaires and quite a lot of billionaires, and the habits are quite common.
Yes.
And you just mentioned some of them.
And if you identify them,
you know, be honest about your situation. I was just, again, like that lying thing really in particular, I really want people not to forget it, because it's like, you can lie sometimes to people about your financial situation and say you're not in debt. You're better telling people you are.
Yes.
You know, don't hide things. That's about being transparent. But people don't. Most successful people actually, at their core, are very authentic about what's going on in their lives.
And we're going to talk about authenticity because it's super key to this. I'm glad that you mentioned that word. So what are the inputs to become a millionaire, right? List them all out. If you guys haven't watched all of Simon's content with all millionaires, go watch it and you can probably piece them together.
Any quick ones, by the way, that you've noticed?
First is you need to have a product, service, or a good. You need to have something that you offer of value to the marketplace. So a product can be physical, can be digital. It can be a service, your time or somebody else's time.
I actually really love service business to start with, because they can be low cost, you know,
very cheap,
and get going quite quickly. Yeah.
And then you can have your physical products, your digital products, and then you have your goods. And your goods don't necessarily have to be something that offers utility. Like a pair of shoes, like a Nike pair of shoes, aren't necessary. They're just a good, a variable, a version. So for example, you could have a service-based business that offers car wash, but your goods are that you offer additional things to it and bonuses that don't have anything to do with the service. Like, do you sell them rim cleaner? Do you sell them additional perks and things that are inside of it? So you have your products, your services, and your goods. That's the input.
Yeah, by the way, offer value. Most people who do a YouTube channel don't make money from the YouTube. They make money from affiliate links down below. They have goods on top of their service.
Yes. So you need to offer value. That's the first thing. If you don't have anything to offer value of, you're not going to make money. That's the main one. That's the most important one. And then the second one, so you need customers, man. Right. You need customers. So it's like, who is your target audience? People are thinking, okay, what am I going to sell? No. Who am I going to take care of? You start with the end in mind.
Most people are way too generic on this.
Yes.
So I mentioned yesterday we interviewed the billionaire Yat Su, and he was talking about niching down, how important niching is. People, customer-wise, people too broad. I would like sell T-shirts to men between 18 and 60. Well,
it doesn't work that way.
You won't sell anything to anyone.
You need, and we'll talk about the third one. Specificity. You need to be clear for yourself internally and externally. What are you going to offer? Who you're going to offer it to? At what price? Where? These are the clarifications that you need. Value to who and how. Very simple. And that will give you the output. And if you just focus on providing value to this specific person in this specific way, you're going to test whether or not it works. And if it doesn't work, the output will tell you that it doesn't work. And if it works, the input will give you the output. So that's the first variable. Inputs and outputs are super important. Purpose doesn't have to be this deep thing like, hey, I want to go to Mars. Purpose can be, hey, when this customer needs my help in this specific manner, I am the most reliable person that they can go to. And I wake up in the morning and that's what fires me up. And that should be one of the outputs. The outputs should be, I guess we can delete it on the second thing because we're talking about inputs and outputs. Talk about the second one. Is going to be your LTV. Most people are focused on the front end money in the front end interaction. How can I take from somebody something the first time that I meet them? How can I extract a couple pennies, a couple dollars from this guy like a hungry motherfucking dog, excuse my language, because it pisses me off. They don't focus on lifetime value.
No. That is a big mistake a lot of people make.
They don't focus on the lifetime value of the customer. They focus on the quick money. So the input is the fast, hey, first relationship, first interaction. They don't think about what's the long-term perspective, what's the long-term journey of this individual with me. When you focus on long-term value and lifetime value, which is so much bigger because it costs more to acquire a new customer than to sell an existing customer another product, then you stop focusing on making the money in the front end. And you focus on allowing the lifetime value of the customer to yield returns long-term, whether it's money, whether it's opportunities, whether it's connections, resources, it really depends. People are focused on the fast money, the fast transactions, and you can make some hustle money, but you're not going to get rich.
Well, I see people burn long-term relationships forever, sometimes going for the money.
Input and output. So mindset, number one, focus on just inputs, don't focus on outputs. The second one is we're talking about authenticity. When you look at a chart, for example, of this idea of the yogis and the Hindu masters talking about enlightenment, and they talk about the different chakras and all these energy things, and okay, you read it and you wonder, and then you begin to do some research and like, okay, there must be some science or some facts attached to this stuff, and there must be some intelligent people researching these things. It can't just be me that's curious. So I come across a study. And I'm like, okay, let me start reading it. And it's a study with the acronym Spain. It's an experiment that they did over 20 years, a span of over 20 years, which is the scale of positive and negative emotion. So what they did is they put individuals inside a Faraday cage. It was for those people that don't know what a Faraday cage is, this cage made with different aluminums and different metals that basically block any sort of Wi-Fi signal, any sort of frequency to come into that box. And then they began prompting people with what? With different tasks, different mindsets, different thoughts, different questions to determine one thing: the vibrational frequency that their body was kind of operating on when they gave certain responses. So whether it was positive frequency or negative frequency. So for example, let's say they prompted, disgust or anger inside of the person. Well, clearly they could tell that it was a lower vibrational frequency. So they're like, okay, interesting. So let's prompt some positive stuff. And they were like, oh, this is higher vibration. I'm like, oh, interesting. Because the body naturally reacts to your emotions. There's chemistry taking place when your emotions are kicking in. So when you have a negative thought, you're not just having a negative thought. There's an entire process attached to that.
Energy going out.
It's putting you in a different frequency. So the question is, okay, well, what's the best frequency to be in? If this is the scale of positive and negative emotions, I want to be at the highest scale of positive emotions. So what is the highest form of frequency that I can abide in? So that was the question that these scientists were asking. And if you start looking at, these yogi charts, you begin to see, greed, lust at the bottom, then anger, then you see love and gratitude. And then at the top, you see what? Enlightenment. Well, what is enlightenment? Okay, make that practical for me. Like, everybody talks about enlightenment, but what is enlightenment? So they began prompting people. And they found that above what we often know as the highest form of frequency, or what everybody talks about, which is love, that's what everybody talks about, the highest form, the highest form of energy. They found that there was a frequency that made people vibrate 400 times more powerful than the vibrational frequency of love. And it was the vibrational frequency of authenticity. To become the truest version of yourself with no lies is to vibrate at the highest form that you can possibly vibrate at.
God, I love that.
Giving you,
so true.
Giving you a sense of peace, equanimity, and truthfulness. And all the baggage doesn't exist because you don't have to wear a mask. Therefore, you can be who you are.
You can move faster. You can live free.
And authenticity, remember, vibrational frequency is fast. Key that you said that. Authenticity is the key to everything. And if you can do things authentically, you win the game. So once again, it goes back to the mindset. Like, are you being a liar? Well, you know when you're supposed to go to the gym. I'm not saying you have to go to the gym every single day, but you know when you're supposed to go and you don't go. You know when you're supposed to sit down and read that article or that book or listen to that thing and you don't do it, and you know you're supposed to. You're not being authentic with yourself because you want something, but your actions say something else. And your mindset and your actions need to be aligned. We talk about this concept of faith. People are like, you just need to believe. You need to believe that you can. Faith, without your ability to manifest it in the three-dimensional world through action, is dead. You can't just believe things, you have to create them through action. You need to materialize them with energy. And at whatever frequency you're going to place it at, remember, frequency always exists. What we're doing is we're tuning ourselves to that frequency. Nikola Tesla famously said, because once again, this goes back to the school system, how we're being taught. Nikola Tesla famously said, my brain is a receiver of information. But what are we taught in the school system? That our brain is to be jammed with things that you have to memorize, and this is blocked information, and this is how your brain works. Well, what if we're only tapping into 5% of our brain? What if the conversation here is, dude, what if I have to get smarter and tap into more of my brain? What if that's the maybe if you're operating off of 2%, you deserve to be broke because you're not operating at your optimal. So how do you expect to have optimal results if you're not operating optimally? It doesn't make any sense because you're going to attract that which you are. Naturally, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if Nikola Tesla says, hey, the brain's a receiver of information, the question is, what are the things that are causing static? My inability to receive information, or my inability to get inspired, my inability to actually put forth the effort and purpose that I want. Well, what's the music that I listen to? What are the friendships that I hang out with? What's my environment? What do I eat? How do I speak to myself? All these things are either causing static or stillness, and your ability to what? Receive information that gives you inspiration in order to act. Think of you and me in 1940 or 1950, driving down the Midwest in an old Cadillac, and we wanted to listen to some music. That music is already attuned to that frequency. What we have to do is tune the radio and position ourselves in that frequency so then we can tune into it. So most people, they want to operate at a high vibrational frequency, attract prosperity, attract purpose, attract wealth, but their actions aren't aligned with it. So you have to act and then you'll receive. You have to do, and then the outcome will produce itself. All you have to do is change your mindset and be like, hey, you know what? Instead of looking at the situation negatively, you may look at it positively. Well, how do I do it? I don't know. Lie to yourself until you believe it, just like you lied to yourself about the negative shit. But once you understand that you can't solve the problems in your life with the same mindset and the same information that gave you the problems in the first place, then you understand that you need a renewed mind and you need new information in order to behave differently. So authenticity is the name of the game. As much as it feels like it's a vulnerability factor, once you treat yourself with grace, like we were talking about in the beginning, now you enter a situation where you don't care because you're just learning. Yeah, I mean, you can't help yourself if you suck. Like, you can't help yourself if you suck. So, okay, you need to fix yourself first. Well, how do you fix yourself? Small wins. It all goes back to the small building blocks. People want to overcomplicate it, man. It's not that complicated. If you know you need to exercise. If not, you'll deal with the consequences. That's fine. If you want to be poor, be poor. If you want to leave hate comments, that's fine. Do that. It doesn't bother us. It doesn't change our lifestyle. It is what it is, but it's your choice. And I often tell people, the rich and the poor are both self-made. but only the rich will admit it. The poor person will never admit that they're broke.
It'll be someone
and
else.
that they're responsible for it. No. You're full. If you're a grown up, if you're 15, 17, 19, 21, like, I get it. If you've had a bad life, you have some come up that you still have to do, and you're.
Well, even then, and I could talk.
I get it.
I was 15 years old,
Yeah.
and I was homeless.
Yeah.
But if I look back critically and looked at the time, I had an argument with my mum. I didn't compromise. She didn't compromise. And I got kicked out.
And she had leverage.
Yeah, she had leverage. Now, you could argue that was self-created, because if I had accommodated her and maybe worked it out, then I wouldn't have been homeless.
Yeah.
So it was self-inflicted. Although I blame her for most part of my life.
And most of it is once you get to that point of self-infliction, you understand that you're self-inflicting both negative and positive. So you're fully in control of everything.
Yeah.
And what I like about that is that nobody can take your wins.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to take your losses. That's fine. I get it. I'll eat my L's by myself. I'll deal with the garbage. That's fine. But when I win, I'm gonna savor that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, it's what we talked about. If you want to experience pleasure and you want to experience trophies and winning, perfect. You're gonna have to deal with what it takes.
Yeah.
And that's what most people are not willing to go, because they have that 9 to 5 paycheck mindset, which is, I work today, I get paid tomorrow. I work today, I get paid tomorrow. And if that's how you think, then you're living on today. It doesn't work that way. If you want to build true wealth, you need to be building imaginarily first as to what it is that you want. And sometimes that takes saving, that takes structure, that takes becoming a new type of person. If you
Even a new community around you, like
a new circle of people, new
start
everything.
for people.
And the beauty about the wins is that it gives you the confidence that the small L's take away.
Yep, totally.
And you start cycling that, and you go to an upward spiral. People talk about the downward spiral, they never talk about the upward spiral. The upward spiral is just positive momentum and positive momentum reinforcement. You go fast, and you're like, damn, I'm getting lucky. No, you're not getting lucky. You're just reaping the reward of the effort that you put in 5 years ago. The loser calls it luck.
Yep.
Because they have no ability to dictate their life.
Yep.
There's no such thing as luck.
Yep.
Everything in life is a game of what? Probabilities. Probabilities. So the question is, how do you increase your odds of success? So let's talk about high demands. Let's go a little bit more on the business side. So nowadays, you have what we talked about, your services, your products, and your goods. You need to be able to present them to people. If there's no eyeballs, not gonna make money. So there's a couple ways. First of all, your business needs to have an online presence, whether you like it or not. Even if it means just having Google and having your customers leave a 5-star review, because whether you believe it or not, people look at that. And that's the first the first interaction, the first impression, and it matters. So first of all is the impression. Before you get traffic, anything, what's the positioning? When inbound traffic comes, whether it's organic or generated, doesn't matter. What's the first impression? What's the first impression of your business?
Important. By the way, I always tell people, if you have a website, for example, which I think everybody should have for their business and for themselves, if your website, for example, a link doesn't work on it, I make a judgment about
Absolutely.
that business. It's not well managed. It's not.
Absolutely.
First impressions matter, and I think a lot of people don't realize how quickly people will make a decision whether or not they're going to work with you. So your high demand drops instantly because you're not following these basics.
And you improve it as time goes on. So how do you do it? Feedback. What is feedback? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? So what's the feedback telling you about what you're doing? Are the reviews good? Are the reviews beneficial? Do you manage the images on your social media presence? Yes or no? Like, what is it? How is it that you are positioning yourself to recruit new talent? I realized, I was like, people think LinkedIn sucks, but who thinks that? I'm trying to find super top tier talent. Okay, looks like I need to have a LinkedIn presence because that's where a lot of professionals happen to be. So that's what the feedback told me. So I had to act upon the feedback. And then I started getting better people on the inbound because my first impression was great. People knew what they were getting into. So the first impression is super important. Second is we're going to talk about organic traffic. So we talked about trends and we talked about narratives. If you want to reduce your cost of acquiring a customer, because there's a specific cost to acquire a customer, and you should know, based off of your product, how much it's going to cost you to acquire a customer. If you're selling a product for $97, okay, perfect. If it costs you $200 to acquire a customer, that's not an issue as long as you have a high lifetime value. Because you're paying in advance for the future lifetime value of the customer. Let's say it's $1,000. But if you're only focused on the short-term money, you're going to lose out. And you're going to have to focus on acquiring customer for really cheap, which is totally fine if that's how you want to do it. Let's say it's a drop shipping approach, you know? Let's say you're selling a product for $97 and you acquire it for $25. So in this case, you can make front-end money, but you can tell that it's not that much. You can run off of small margins. So organic traffic, capitalizing on trends, narratives that are taking place. I like social media. That's what I utilize. Social media will tell you what's hot. You go on Twitter, it'll tell you what's trending, and you can create product demand based off of that. Then you can have what I would call your inorganic, or you would call your paid traffic. And paid traffic is going to be divided into two categories. And this is a new category that has just come out recently that I've mastered. We're going to talk about paid traffic, because if you want to acquire customers nowadays, you're going to most likely have to pay for attention. So the first type of paid traffic is where you pay platforms. So you pay platforms, whether you want to pay for ad revenue, like that's your ad expense, whether you want to pay for like banners, whatever it is. Different platforms operate differently. So this is your paid platforms: Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Snapchat ads, Google ads. This is where people are. So over the last 15 years, paid platforms made a ton of money because the only way to interact with people was to notice them through an ad. It would be very hard for people to know who, for example, let's say Ty Lopez was back in the day, unless he had that in my garage ad. What if he made a YouTube video, just posted it, maybe 5,000 people would have seen it. He had to use paid platforms in order to push his message. However, 2 years ago, TikTok rolled around and took over, and they introduced distribution. Your ability to reach people that have never interacted with your content before via the For You or the Explore.
This is what exploded for me. I mean, we had a video day before yesterday get 52 million views. The distribution is insane.
And you can quantify it. So somebody do the math for me. So 52 million views. Let's say your Facebook CPM on the cheap side is $7. Tell me how much in paid traffic that video generated. So you just have to divide it.
742,857.
So you get $750,000 worth of impressions for free because you've mastered distribution marketing.
And you don't need a big following. If you look at the numbers behind that video, 99% of the views are new followers.
For you and Explore people.
Brand new people.
So now people have no excuse, because people used to have the excuse, hey, I need to master paid traffic. I need to either find an agency. I need to learn it myself. I got to spend money. I don't have it. Okay, well, I get it. Today, it's no longer the case, because you have distribution marketing. So how are you distributing your products for people to find out? If you have a service, are you showcasing people your service every single day, multiple times a day? Or are you hiding it? If you're hiding it, nobody's gonna see it. There's plenty of businesses on TikTok. They're out here with a voiceover, cutting lawn, and getting customers left, right, and center.
Totally.
So distribution marketing now makes it completely possible for everybody to get attention. You obviously have to pay for it. What are the costs? Well, it depends on how crazy of an operation.
Most of the time, it's just creativity.
Maybe you have to incur a bus ticket. Maybe you have to buy your product to shoot the product. Small things. But it's minimal because the return, the ROI is there. Now, what I like about this for brands is that now brands, and this is the final part, is you need your content. This is the key, right? Because if you want to master distribution, the content needs to be good. However, back in the day, let's say you wanted to hire an influencer and we wanted to go into a studio to shoot your e-commerce product, you would think about it twice, because you're like, dang, if this person posts once, maybe I'll get 100,000 views and it won't be worth it. Or I have to spend a lot of money on this shoot. I don't know if this campaign will go well. Today with distribution, you can repurpose the same video 1,000 times. So now the lifespan and the shelf life of the content is higher. Therefore, you can invest more into it, which used to not be the case because you would need new creatives when the audience fatigued. If you could make no more videos for the rest of your life and just recycle what you already have, and you would obviously get new eyeballs. Why? Because there's 8 billion people out there. So it's like there's plenty of people out there to go around with the content you already have done. How I did it is we built a distribution system. And in our distribution system, we created multi-page accounts. So I have thousands of accounts. In my first,
and you controlled all those accounts?
All of them, yeah. So you can have affiliate programs. You can hire people to come work for you. They're called clippers. There's the short form clippers. Today, I have about 150 people working for me in that distribution department. We do about 150 to 200 million views per month on short form. And my CPM is 2 cents. So I think if I have 500x cheaper than your average cost for 1,000 views on Facebook.
This is partners, paid down partners, because I see that as your internal. Because the other model is reverse of what you just said, which is you incentivize someone to do. If people are listening, they can't afford to hire 150 people like you have done. The way they can do it is the other way, which is you basically, if time someone signs up to your product, because of you've created an account for someone, they get a piece of it.
Yeah.
So an affiliate model, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
you can have an affiliate
model. It's reverse of what you said, because you've got the funds to go and hire those people.
But simultaneously, I didn't start that way. How I started was I would also pay per view.
Right.
So you pay in direct proportion to the value that the person provides, which if you're thinking that people are just going to work for free and get you views for free, you're delusional. Okay? Yeah. And it's like, but this is where it gets even better. It's when you add the pay-per-view that you give them and you add the TikTok pay-per-view.
Right.
Because TikTok's already giving them this. Now you double it down and give them something on top of it.
So you give them a baseline salary and now you give them an upside. This is not known.
Obviously it's not known. That's why most people don't do it.
But I'm shocked it's not known. Why is it not common knowledge? I mean, you would think that people like TikTok, they should pay us to do this, by the way. We've just basically explained why TikTok is a channel you've got to be on, because Instagram is different. Instagram doesn't pay you for views.
It doesn't.
YouTube pays you for views, but it's incredibly tough as a platform. So it's kind of interesting that right now, back to what we were talking about earlier, right now is probably the time to start a business because this distribution is still available.
And it's cheap. It's available, and social platforms are competing against each other to offer the best distribution, because right now they're realizing that they're not in the business of making money. They're in the business of surviving.
Right.
Because all these social media platforms that exist, dude, they're burning fucking money left, right, and center to hold on to users.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is go to where people are distributing you the best. For example, during the World Cup, you would watch the matches. And what was running on the ads, right? We need to be aware. It said YouTube Shorts. I'm like, okay, YouTube is probably going to push YouTube Shorts.
Right.
So I took 4 different pages, right? Built out just a YouTube Shorts, did 1 million followers on all 4 different pages of my own content, the same content. We were talking about repurposing, right? The content on all 4 different pages through short form, did over 1 million followers. Yeah. So you don't even have to talk on camera. You can just have an AI voiceover. Just write. You don't even have to write the script. Yeah. Like that's how insanely automated this thing's getting. Dude, when I had to start doing e-commerce back in 2017, I had to sit down, think about everything, think about the copy, think about the hook, I can just tell ChatGPT, give me 19 different hooks, give me a script that is X amount of words long. I want it to have this narrative. I want it to have Apple commercial vibes. I want it to be simple for a kid to, and then you read it and then you tweak it, you work on it a little bit. But 90% of the work, dude, it's done. Crazy. You don't even have to have a fucking product.
It's never been easier, is it?
It's never been easier. And what I tell people is, and this is where it gets crazy, okay? Like, we're talking about all these things, and you're working your 9 to 5, like you're dealing with your bullshit. You look at your bank account, you're missing money, you owe money to people, like life's not good. We've all been there. What you are in right now is a hamster wheel. You're in a hamster wheel. Most people's issue is their ability to break out of the hamster wheel, thinking that the moment they jump off of the hamster wheel, that they're going to fail, that they're unproductive, that they're moving backwards. But remember, the hamster wheel is an illusion of moving forward. You have to get off of the fucking hamster wheel in order to move. But people don't get that.
So I want to jump off it. How are we going to jump off it? I want people to jump off that hamster wheel.
So first is understanding that everything that we do in life are loops. Most people live on looped behaviors. You wake up at the same time, you do the same thing in the morning, creatures of habit, go to the same job, comfort. But it's the same thing. When I was working my 9 to 5, 2018, it was 2017, 2018, before I quit, It was a comfortable job. Cubicle marketing job.
Dangerous, those comfortable.
$4,800 a month. Spending a couple $100 sleeping on my brother's couch. I was chilling. Like, I had money. I was good. Could afford, could go out, eat, nice restaurant. I was good. But then an opportunity presented itself. I could take the same skill, do it for myself, which was at the time running Facebook ads, and do it for a company on Wall Street. How much do they want to pay me? $9,000. Same skill set, better money, but I had to quit my job. I had to get out of the hamster wheel. And what I realized was like, okay, why is this easy for me to do now? It's because I secured a monkey bar before I let go of the last one.
You get one client.
All you have to do is set yourself up. You have to position yourself in order to slow down the hamster wheel so that you can get off. Most people are like, I'm just going to quit my job. Yeah. No. Secure a monkey bar before you let go of the last one. If not, you're going to fall on your motherfucking back. And then the third one, which is I think most people don't realize, is the goal.
Right.
It's like, what is the goal that is going to allow me to no longer do the hamster wheel? What's the goal? How much money? By when? How much money do I need to save? How many clients do I have to get? Like a very simple goal. Okay, side money. Okay, how much?
Financial literacy is also not taught in school, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I think when people understand, if you want to make £1 million, you are never going to make it on an hourly salary.
Never.
It's never going to happen. You'll be 65, you'll own your home, you'll be house rich, life poor. You won't have the skills to make money that you need. I don't understand why people don't all have a goal. In fact, everybody listening now, write your goal down below. What is it? I'll critique it, and you probably won't have time to critique.
I'll probably check it out. Yeah.
Well, check it out, right? Write down your goal. Anything else you want to share?
Yeah, let's continue. So we have reducing costs because obviously you want to give yourself mental real estate. You want to have room, wiggle room. You want to side money. Okay, from where? How? To who? Doesn't have to be a lot. Dude, flipping sneakers. I know 17-year-old kids making 20, 30,000.
I love that. When I meet
30,000 a month, man.
Yeah. And they love it too. They're meeting celebrities.
And they're crushing it.
Yeah.
And they're crushing it. So they have a goal. They established their goal. Now they're making money. Now they're able to what? Afford the luxury to get out of the hamster wheel. And they're not doing it feeling like it's risky. That's what most people are like, this is risky. Okay, well, create the variable where you reduce risk. So limit your expenditures, increase your cash flow with a simple goal. So that's how you get off of the hamster wheel. That's the very simple purpose. Now, I'll conclude with this. Once you get off of the hamster wheel, you need to understand why most people will never get off of the hamster wheel and why you don't want other people to get off of the hamster wheel in a certain perspective. One is most people are comfortable in their current zone. So once you break out of your current situation, the people that are around you that are still on the hamster wheel, they're going to think you're nuts. They're going to think you're crazy.
I've had that
they're like, why the fuck are you running? Why are you not being productive on the hamster wheel?
Even when you made a lot of money, people are like, why are you working so hard when you made a lot of money? Because I enjoy it. People even...
So the other hamsters begin questioning your shit.
Yeah.
And so now you have to have what? Definiteness of purpose. You need to have definiteness of purpose.
Write that down. Be definite of purpose.
So you need to have defined purpose.
Defined, okay.
Defined purpose, and we end with this. Because when people sign up for entrepreneurship, they don't realize that they're signing up for 95% hardship. And unless you have a defined purpose and a definite purpose, whether it's other people telling you in your ear that, hey, you're not going to make it, whether it's the business situations that you're going to go through that are going to suck, if you have no definite purpose, you're not going to have the key to business and the key to making money in life. It's longevity. You win in the long term. That's how you win the game. And unless you have purpose, you can't have longevity because of the things that are going to happen. What's a very practical example of this? Because we see this take place every single day. If I was to take you right now, we went to the river and we went to the captain's deck. And we asked the captain, hey, we want to go to X, Y, and Z port. Okay, we have the goal. Do you know how to get there? Within a sentence and maybe 10 seconds of research, he would tell you exactly where we're going. Can most people tell you within 10 seconds in a paragraph where they're going? No. So you need to establish a goal. And then realize that for 99% of the journey from port A to port B, you're not going to see the destination. For 99% of the journey, you just have to trail the journey. But you know that you have a definite set purpose and an objective. So you have an objective and you understand that 99% of the way, you're never gonna see the output. You're never gonna see the end result. You just are gonna arrive there. And once you've arrived there, now by definition, you're once again an unsuccessful person because now you have to find another port of destination. So those people are like, oh, I hit my goal and now I feel empty. Yeah, because you have no purpose. You need a new purpose. And life is about conquering purposes, finding purposes, about achieving purpose.
So true.
And that's what I leave people with. Find definite purpose, define purpose. That purpose needs to be attributed to something that has longevity, that gives you the ability to run long. And I think we can find a lot of purpose and pleasure in that.
That is so insightful. And I think the thing is as well, that journey of going on that boat to that island, being on the island will never be an interesting story to people on the island. But the journey that got you where is what makes you interesting. And so when I tell people that, enjoy that journey, like that journey is hard. There'll be scary moments at sea, but there'll be the stories you tell later.
Yes.
Don't you want stories? Don't you want legacy? Like, I want to tell my son the things. I went to Hong Kong when I had no money. I did this, I did that. I don't want to tell him I just grew up in my hometown and died in my hometown, right? That journey on the ship. Thank you so much. We have a little bit of a joke at the end of these videos where I say, should we go for chicken? Do you fancy some chicken?
I'm down for some chicken.
Whilst I was with Luke, he answered some of your most asked business questions to our brand new series on the Help Bank channel. Click the video on the screen to now check it out.